Hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
It's been ages.
It has been a while. There's so much that has happened. We don't even know where to even begin.
We're now parents.
We are now parents. Congratulations to you, baby.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Where do we even begin?
I have no idea.
Where do we begin? So today we just want to just give you guys a
little update.
After the last time we left you guys, the delivery process and what it's been like being parents for the past 10 days, 11 days.
About that.
Yeah. So hope you guys stick around and hope you guys are blessed.
Hey there, I'm Shemaine.
And I'm Rashad.
And we're the Prospers. So guys, like we said, we have quite a bit of updates because from the last time that we were here, I was pregnant and we were in the process of prepping, for baby's arrival. We were nesting and we have just seen the hand of God so mightily in our lives. He has surpassed our expectations. God has just been sending persons our way to bless us. He has just been sending persons to encourage us, to give us well-needed advice. It has just been a season of joy, to be honest. Definitely.
The last time we sat on the chair, we spoke about how we were just enjoying the pregnancy and whatnot. I think the next thing that we did after that was we sat down one day and we had a conversation about our fears during pregnancy. And I think that that's important as couples, especially being in the medical field. So you may see me glancing from time to time on the side. It's just because
baby's there sleeping in her bassinet.
So I want to make sure that we don't wake her.
Yeah, and you want to keep an eye on her as well. We
had this conversation where we kind of sat down and we said, because I realized that we had both been having fears in the pregnancy and we never really express them. And I think it's because we believe that if we ever speak what we're afraid of, it makes it come to life. So one day we sat down and we're like, I'm really concerned about if baby has all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. And then when she said that to me, I was like, you know what, I've been concerned that, in St. Lucia, we don't do the alpha fetoprotein test to check for Down syndrome and all of these things. And we just kind of sat down.
And I didn't even know that he had these fears. I thought that I was the only one. That's why communication is so important. You're there carrying a burden. The other person is carrying the same burden, But until you sit down and actually have a heart-to-heart, you realize, oh, wow, we're really on the same page.
So that's the one thing I would definitely encourage expecting parents to do. Have that conversation. A conversation where you guys just share your fears, your
expectations,
worries, your expectations, the things that you don't want to speak about, you always pray against, but you just carry on your heart. Just talk to your partner about it, and you'll be surprised because she had a lot of the same.
Because every day I was worrying if the things that I was doing, was enough to keep baby healthy. Was I eating enough? Was I eating the right things? Because all I was craving was junk food.
And I would always ask her, is baby moving? Is baby moving? And I guess for her, it was just like, oh, he's concerned, but really and truly, I was honestly scared.
Yeah, because I remember one night when I was actually 35 weeks. That's the second time in the pregnancy that happened. I was home, and I realized that baby's movements, were decreasing, the duration, the intensity, because baby was normally a strong kicker. So I'm like, something strange. So I called him and he's like, call mom and dad, to take you to the hospital. Because I was just so scared.
In tutus, they're in the hospital, and then we come upstairs, and then they plug on the monitor, and the first thing we see is that
I was having contraction.
Well, but we saw that baby
the heartbeat.
And that was honestly one of the most amazing feelings, because we had another scare like that early in the pregnancy, around 18 weeks. And also you think about viability and all these things cross your mind. You're like, what, 18 weeks pregnancy isn't viable, and then you're at 34 weeks, you're like, pregnancy is now viable, and baby might be premature, and it's just like there's so many fears.
So many. And then that's the thing, that's why when we're going through especially things like pregnancy, it's important that you trust God and don't, rely on your instincts and your fears, because these fears tend to trap you and they have you in a place of worry when all God wants for you is to rely on Him and, just trust that He will take care of you. And that is what He did. He has surpassed our expectations. So we'll just give you guys a rundown of the night of labor. So one of the other things that we have learned during this season is to just trust God. Sometimes life gives you curveballs, life does not go as you plan, because the night of the 7th.
Let's start from the top.
Listen, so the day of the 7th, you got a call, you're off from work, you got a call that somebody, was unable to make it to work and you should come in for that night. And
they would like me to come in, so I went in for the night.
So before you went, I was like, babe, if maybe I still come, it would be better that you're working tonight, so if anything happens, you are there already.
She said it joking.
Yes, I did.
But another thing is that it's also good to have plans. So we had a plan A. The plan A was if I was home, boom bam. We had a plan B. The plan B was if I wasn't home, my parents would take her. We had a plan C, that if my parents were not home, that Narcissus would take her. We had a plan D, that if all of that didn't work out, we didn't ambulance, we'd do ambulance. We had a plan E, that if everything failed, everybody has a flat tire, everybody's car doesn't start.
Then we had everybody from the church as well.
That's as well.
Call us if anything
and
happened.
We even had the final plan where if everything failed, everybody's car ran out of gas, we'd do a home delivery. We actually had people that we had contacted and saying, hey, we don't want to have to, but in case everything fails, be on standby for home delivery.
Oh my God.
That's the crazy part.
So that night we were supposed to be at home resting together because you were off, and then God had other plans. So He sent you to work to pave the way for me.
So I got called into work, and work started at 8. So she had always told me, if I ever call you on WhatsApp via video call, you know what it is.
So that night, let's say around 8 o'clock, I had one hunger. So I went into the kitchen, I made pancakes and sausages at night, 8 in the night. And then I made a cup of tea, and I'm like, okay, that's it. So after eating, I washed the dishes, and then I changed into my pajamas. I put on a new pajama set that night. I don't know what was wrong with me. I put on my pajama set.
Top and bottom pajama set.
I put on my pajama set. As I was about to step on the bed, a ball, I don't know, I couldn't explain anything.
Gosh.
It wasn't a gush. It was like a ball of water was down there, and it just gushed out after. And I'm like, this cannot be it. So I went straight to the bathroom and I checked myself, and I'm smelling amniotic fluid. Because I hate the scent of amniotic fluid.
So now let's flip to me, right? So chilling, doing work, phone rings. Now I have a special ringtone for her, so I know whenever she's calling.
I call you by a video call.
I know, but I pull out my phone, and then when I pull out my phone, I'm seeing WhatsApp video call, and we had always kind of explained, and I think that's a good thing to do. Another tip is to set a distinction. Say, hey, you know what? I'm normally gonna call you this way. If you ever see me calling you that way, or at that particular time when you're at work or whatever, just know that something is up. So if you see a missed video call, you have to call me back right away. Unlike if you see missed audio calls. So I see video call, I look at the phone, answer the phone, I'm like, hey. She's like, are you alone? I'm like, yes. You calling me video call? She's like, yes. My water just broke.
So then I'm like, can you come for me? He's like, okay. It's like he was so excited, he didn't know what to do. And then he called me back. He's like, my coworker said that, you should call somebody that's nearby. So then we decided to call your parents. And they were not too far away. So while I waited for them, I bathed, I brushed my teeth, the bags were packed and in the vehicle already, and he had the vehicle at work, so there was nothing else to worry about. So I just packed my charger and these small little things, and I just sat patiently waiting for his parents to come and pick me up. Right, so we got to the hospital. The water bag broke around 10:25 a.m. the night PM, sorry, the night of the 7th, right? So
got to the hospital maybe within an hour. About 11ish, got to the hospital. You were all set up and ready to go in your room a little bit after midnight. Plugged to the NST, and
contractions were being recorded on the NSC, but I was not perceiving the contractions. I was not feeling them, and I felt so happy. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have a seamless labor, not much pain. I was super excited.
I was excited too.
Until 10 o'clock the next day, that's 12 hours.
So the morning time comes.
Right, and no baby. Then you have prolonged rupture of membranes and risk for infection. So now you have to start antibiotics. So they started me on antibiotics, and they're like, we're gonna have to induce you because you're only fingertip. So 12 hours.
Just a little bit less than, it's like 1 centimeter. Or
like just one little finger can enter the cervix.
Can go. Ideally, you use 1 finger for 1 centimeter, 2 fingers for etc. etc.
So from the time my water bag burst up until 12 hours after, I was only less than 1 centimeter dilated. So they're like, we're going to have to induce you. So at 1:30 in the afternoon, on the 8th of November, they placed a medication to have me induced.
So one of the things that we had always envisioned a natural delivery process. The natural delivery process was, our way of, welcoming our baby. Pushing me and watched this Instagram video where KB was talking about his wife delivering without an epidural, and she's like, I want to do that too. I was like, geez, man. So while we were going through the process and finding out that she's not dilating, I'm sitting next to her, and in my mind I'm just like, Lord, I just want baby to be okay. But as we're there waiting, the fear starts to creep up again, and I do believe that in moments where there are times where it's easy to forget God when you really need to depend on God.
Yeah.
So as we're creeping up, 12 hours have passed, she's not dilating, knowing all the things that can happen and just thinking about it was crazy. And then now another thing is having to trust the medical professionals who are there.
Right. So the induction process started at 1:30. 6 in the evening, I'm 3 centimeters. 9 at night, I'm only still 9
Before we get to
centimeters.
that, they place the medication at 1.
3 centimeters, sorry.
They place the medication at 1 o'clock. Contractions really started picking up about
5 o'clock.
Around 5 o'clock contractions started picking up. And when contractions started picking up, they were terrible.
They were out of this world. Oh my gosh. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about those contractions.
It was just messed up seeing her go through that and just being there, being unable to do anything. Mostly I was tired, but I couldn't sleep because it wouldn't be fair to sleep next.
You did sleep.
I know, but I really wanted to sleep. Anyway.
But I'm thankful for you being there nonetheless.
So 7 o'clock comes, contractions are getting bad.
Even more intense.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock comes, contractions are getting worse.
And I'm still at 3 centimeters.
10 o'clock comes and I'm looking at Shumin, and Shumin is just bawling. At this point, I'm now thinking, you know what? All these negative thoughts are coming back to my head. I'm just like, oh my gosh, can you imagine that your baby has spent 9 months developing and you go through all of that, and it's just a complication at the final hour can be the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy baby. And praying, rebuking, which is...
For me, I was not much worried about complications. I was just in too much pain. I wanted to be out of the pain.
Yeah, so for me, I was the amount of pain that she had, I was worried because ideally her contraction should have been every 2 minutes, getting stronger, becoming more frequent. But what I noticed is that she was contracting for like 20 minutes non-stop, and she would stop for 30 seconds and then contract for another 10-15 minutes, and that seemed very, very odd, and she was in so much pain.
So thankfully
the decision was made
to have the C-section. I was over the moon.
Then prepped her for surgery, and then when they put the anesthesia,
I felt nothing.
Night and day.
I was so relaxed. I was so at peace.
But I was a little concerned because she was contracting so much that that when it came time to put the anesthesia, they were saying,
because it is spinal.
It is spinal. And they said, hey, we can't do this while you're contracting. We need to wait for you to stop contracting so we can insert the needle. And she just was not stopping. She was just contracting and
shaking and trembling.
I was like, yo.
Screaming.
I was like, it was terrible. It was. And I'm just like, wow, look at my wife. And then they put the anesthesia. They finally got the right area, put it in. Big ups to the person who did it, you know yourself, won't say any names. But and then instantly it's like night and day. She just became so relaxed. So relaxed.
I was so happy.
And then surgery starts.
And I was there lying on the bed saying to myself, why were you against the C-section again?
Because I think the thing is that there is this idea to women that if it's not a natural birth, you don't count.
That's it.
But
that's true.
Based on what I've seen with your experience, you know, the natural birth process for you was going to be a difficult process. That's one. And I do believe that in this season of my life that God knows best.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody and they were saying, you know, Rashad, as much as you guys wanted a natural delivery, God may have very well known that that baby would not have made it through a natural delivery.
Definitely.
You know, you may have had a very serious complication because she was exhausted. She was physically exhausted after 24 hours of going through 12 hours of everything and then the contractions. She was exhausted. And God alone knows the energy to push. And in my mind, I'm just like, Lord, you know, that baby head comes out and then baby gets stuck and Jimmy is going to put.
And from inception, he was like, you know, when the time comes to push, you have to push.
You have to push because baby's life depends on it.
Yes.
So after during the C-section, thank God I was allowed to be there. And they're cutting her open. She's like, man, I'm actually talking to her. She's smiling. She's like, I don't feel a thing. But in my mind, I'm just like, Lord, you know,
guide the doctors.
Yeah. But all I really want to do is hear baby cry.
Yes, I kept saying that in my mind.
You know, it's one thing when you're a doctor on pediatric ward, gynecology
I want it
ward.
very close to perfect, guys.
So when you want babies to cry because it's your job, it's a positive outcome.
Yes.
But when it's your child, you need this baby to cry. And I remember when they got into the uterus and then they cut you open and then they had to start draining amniotic fluid and you had a lot of fluid. And then now I see doctor reaching in to try to grab baby, and in my mind I'm just like, Lord,
let there be a cry.
Please let there be a cry. And mind you, those last few seconds felt like an eternity.
Yes.
You see them pushing their hand, pressing. Finally, doctor starts pulling her hand out, and then you see this little baby, and she cries and
instantaneously
cries.
I was so happy.
I was just super relieved for that part, but then also, you know, the whole
prolonged rupture of membrane. She has to go on antibiotics.
But it also, it's when you're in the medical field and you know what can go wrong, it messes with you when it's your own child. Because I'm like, okay, you came out crying, but will you maintain stats? And then
you're paranoid, basically.
And afterwards, they brought her to the table. She was maintaining stats. I'm like, okay, do you not have any? I hope you don't have any
abnormalities.
No dimples.
Yes.
You know, everything is where it's supposed to be. No extra toes, no extra fingers. It's something else. Plus, I wasn't even sure. I know the gender reveal said we were having a girl. I was at the last moment, I was like, what if they made a mistake and we have a little boy and we have all the pink stuff?
I was just open to anything. I was like, God, just have your way. You know best.
But when she came out and, you know, everything was checked, cut the cord, and brought her back for Shemaine, and Shemaine gave her a little kiss on the forehead and say, hey, welcome into the world, baby.
Yeah.
It really warmed my heart.
It was a joyous moment for me.
Yeah.
Joyous to know that you went through this process of being pregnant for 9 months, taking care of yourself so that you can have a healthy baby, you know, the sacrifices that you had to make and everything, and then seeing the product of it all. It was just so overwhelmingly amazing.
The most important person to thank for this entire experience is God. You know, without God, we wouldn't have been here.
Definitely. Definitely.
We were just sitting down thinking, you know, before the year began, we sat down and said, this year we want to have our baby, we want to start our family. And God has been gracious to us that He brought us through conception, He brought us through 49 weeks of pregnancy.
She was a child that she is the child that we prayed for. We planned and we tried and we tried.
Oh baby, tried and tried.
We said the year cannot end and we don't have a little baby.
Shamin used so many pregnancy tests, but you know, I like to thank God really and truly for just getting us through this chapter. This chapter has made me realize that I need to work on my faith. I'll be honest with you guys. Faith is something that I need to work on. But I also want to thank all the people who, like Shamin said in the beginning of the video, all the people who showed up. We have received so many well wishes, thank yous, favor, like words cannot even express.
God just placing people in the moment when we need them most, and it just taught me to appreciate everybody in your life, no matter their role. Appreciate them because God is just using them. Sometimes my mom called them destiny helpers. They help to propel you to your next dimension, to your next phase of life. So appreciate everyone in your life.
Because there was a point in time where we never really had a birth plan. We just felt like we would be going through this by ourselves. But there were people who stepped up and then they offered to be our midwives, and even people that we were told about, they ended up being on shift that same night, and then people would just come and just show support. People would come and just give gifts, and even postpartum, people would come and bring food to help us clean, to help us cook. It's just
I'm so humbled by it all.
It's been crazy. Like I cannot understand it. Where, like I was telling Shamin, you know, grace is unmerited favor. You know, God giving us things that we don't deserve, that our qualifications don't merit, that we are just not at the experience level for, but God gives it to us anyway. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to name baby Grace as one of her names. But God has just been so good. People have just been calling from overseas and even locally. She had so many visitors in the hospital that we didn't even have time to sleep.
And then it just has me in a season of just being grateful. And how can I, you know, treat somebody mean when God has been so good to me? How can I withhold a blessing from somebody when God has blessed me when I don't deserve it? All I can do is just give back to God and give back to persons around me, because we really saw the hand of God mightily in our lives. And even in this postpartum period, it has been amazing. One of the things that I keep telling Rashad is that, you know, people keep telling us, oh, prepare yourself for the sleepless nights, prepare yourself for the crying. And I told Rashad that I really don't care. It's part of the process. And baby, it's all she knows to do. We cannot fault her for crying all the time. We cannot fault her for her sleep patterns. We are her only hope at this point in her life.
Without us,
if we don't do it, who is going to do it for her? So I will do it with the best heart and the best mind in the world, because God has blessed me with this honorable, you know, gift of being a mother.
One of my co-workers once said this to me. He said, for a baby, the baby will cry when they're hungry, like as though they're never going to get food ever again in their life. They're gonna cry when they're dirty, as if they'll never get changed ever again in their life. And we have to understand that that's really and truly how they feel. They do not know where they're getting their next meal from. So to them, they're literally crying, because for them, that's the end of life if somebody doesn't step in. And I think that kind of really opened up our perspective. So whenever she's crying, we know, hey, it's either she's hungry, she needs to change, she's fussy, her stomach hurts, or she just wants somebody to be with her. But at the end of the day, that's all that she can communicate. But we have to understand that what she's feeling is that this is it. Like, if I, like, you know, this is it.
Oh God, I'm going dead. I'm going dead.
So it's just for us to be understanding and really patient with her.
Yeah.
Yes, it's frustrating at times when she's crying and you're trying all of your different methods and nothing is happening. But in those moments, I just ask God, give me the wisdom to take care of this little girl that you have blessed me with. I am not going to be upset at her. I am not going to allow myself to become frustrated, because it's my responsibility. It's my gift and I have to take care of my gift no matter the cost. So
it's just been,
it's been really good.
It's been a journey.
And it's a blessing to have a very, very supportive husband. Sometimes I feel jealous. He just wants to do everything. But I just have to allow him because,
Well, yeah, you have to allow me because you had a C-section. Anyway, guys, this young lady had a C-section, and people can't even tell she had a C-section. It was recommended that she walks. She's been walking around the house. She's been moving up and down. She's been taking it easy, but she's been moving.
So they told me that after I did the C-section and they were wheeling me back to the ward, they were like, you have to remain flat for the next 12 hours. Then after when the 12 hour passes, you must walk around. So from the time they transferred me to my bed on the ward, I kept telling myself, in the next 12 hours, you should be able to walk. So when the 12 hours would have been up at 12 midday. So when the 12 o'clock came, I started easing myself up in the bed. It was a little painful, but I kept trying until I could sit up. And then I put my feet down, and then I hold the bottom of my belly, and I started walking like a little snail until I was able to walk on my own. So sometimes you just have to, it's your mind.
True.
You have to keep telling yourself that you can do it and you have to do it, and you will do it.
And people have been like, you should have a C-section. I mean, the only thing now is that she can't lift heavy objects, which is understandable.
No push, no pull.
No,
but I can
for the next 6 weeks. Oh, you're laughing, you like that. Anyway, so yeah, no sex for 6 weeks. But I mean, hey, God is good. We have plenty of things to do for the next 6 weeks.
He has already broken the rules.
Hey, be yourself. So have you.
I hope the doctor not watching.
So guys, hopefully we plan to just bring in some more content. Thank you guys so much for just being part of our journey into parenthood. It's words can't even express it. We sat down and we were saying that when the year started, YouTube was one of the plans that we had for 2023, and just the overwhelming response from you guys. We're right now at 441 subscribers, even though we haven't been putting videos up for the majority of the past couple months. But you guys have still stuck around. You guys have still supported us, and we really appreciate that.
Yes.
So I just want to thank you guys so much, and hopefully you guys continue to support us as we continue to move into the next chapter of YouTube.
Of our lives.
I hope we can balance YouTube with this new chapter.
We'll see. With God's help.
We'll take it one day at a time. At a time.
So may God continue to bless and keep all of you. You're in our prayers, and always remember to put God
first. So for those of you who are new to our channel, this is a channel where we speak about love and relationships, marriage, and everything in between. If you don't know where to start, I would like to encourage you to either select one of the above. Feel free, guys, to explore the content, and I hope that you guys are blessed.